Woman with Down syndrome loses abortion law appeal. This is concerning murdering unborn children who have got a disability, Down syndrome, and how they can be and still be in the UK terminated, murdered right up to birth, basically. Yes, it is murder because it's premeditated, and scientifically it's a proven fact. When the sperm reaches the egg and fertilizes the egg, becomes the zygote, and all the information is there to form a human being, and life begins at conception, and that's a sign. Scientifically, there's no denying that. I shall put up some quotes as we go along, proving that even scientists and the medical professionals accept that human life begins at conception. Yet we seem to think it's acceptable to slaughter human beings in the womb, the very place of sanctity, the very place, the most important place of nurture. Yes, a child, once it comes out of the womb, still needs nurturing, still needs protection, and would not survive on its own. It's just at a different stage of its development. And there are many cases or instances where we can demonstrate throughout our human lives that we may at some point need someone else to look after us. Does that mean because we're not capable of looking after ourselves, then someone else has the right to murder us? I say no. What do you say? What do you say? It seems to me also that this article from the BBC, where it is somebody who has Down syndrome and whose parents were pro-life, not pro-murdering the unborn children. Yes, this person has Down syndrome. It seems to me as we go along, we discover that clearly, those with Down syndrome are also created in the image of God. In Genesis chapter 3, we read verse 27. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. Yes, it means a lot more than just an image, as we would look in a mirror and see an image. It's who we are as human beings. God has given us a mirror image of his character. We're creative, we love, we have compassion, we make judgments, we also abide by moral standards, God's moral standard that is put within our heart and it's seared on our consciences. And clearly these Down syndrome people, these persons, these created in the image of God, also are created in the image of God because they also have a God-given conscience. Unlike those that want to slaughter the unborn children, whether they be disabled or not be disabled, whether they've got one arm, whether they've got one leg, whether there's a mental disability or whatever, they are still created in the image of God. And we read a woman with Down syndrome has lost her appeal over a law that allows abortion up until birth for a fetus with the condition. Now, fetus is Latin for offspring, okay? Don't be fooled into believing what they want you to believe. Oh, it's just a blob of tissue. No, it isn't just a blob of tissue. All the genetic information is there at conception, from the father, from the mother, and the human being begins life at conception. It's a different stage, the first stage of its development. It's a human being, fetus, Latin for offspring of the kind that it's coming from. For instance, a cow, female, male, produce a fetus of a cow inside the female womb. We wouldn't say that's not a cow, would we? It just means offspring of that which has procreated in order to produce that which is the offspring, the cow, etc. And there's many different examples we can give. For instance, we would not also say a dog in the womb of another dog is not a dog. We know it's a dog, don't we? Yes, from conception. It's pregnant. They're pregnant. We're having dogs. Great. Let's put the for sale sign up and charge £5,000 for this dog when it comes out. And everybody goes, ooh, yes, let's go and pay £5,000 for this dog when it comes out. And because it's been whatever. Anyway, Heidi Crowther, 27, from Coventry, said she was angry that the judges say my feelings do not matter. Judges at the Court of Appeal decided the Abortion Act did not interfere with the rights of the living disabled. Of course it interferes with the rights of the living disabled. It makes their life less, because of the reason they want to abort the children right up to birth, less important, doesn't it? Oh, you have got a disability. That means we can abort your offspring right up to birth. It's bad enough having to, as we would say, normal children aborted. It's absolutely horrendous. It's murder. Heidi said she and her team plan to keep fighting and take the case to the Supreme Court and fight there. Under current legislation for England, Wales and Scotland, there is a 24-week time limit for abortion, unless there is a substantial risk that if the child were born, it would suffer from such physical or mental abnormalities as to be seriously handicapped, which includes Down syndrome. Now, I think in one of the Scandinavian countries, I think they've nearly got rid of people who are Down syndrome because they don't allow them to be born. And this is where we're going, folks. They just want to eradicate. This is like Hitler's Nazi Germany. If they found someone had a disability, they would be executed. They would be exterminated. And this is the stage. Eugenics, folks. You've got to see this. You know, there are beautiful Down syndrome people who love, who give, who enjoy life, who appreciate life, who, if you said to them, would you rather your parents have slaughtered you in the womb? Come on, they're not going to say yes, are they? Everybody is created in the image of God. Yes, there are disabilities. We've all got disabilities. For instance, every generation, more mutations come on. We've all got something wrong with us. And this is down to the fall in the garden. Adam and Eve disobeying God. God placed a curse on humanity, his judgment. And since then, there has been a degeneration. People used to live longer. I've done videos on that. And now sicknesses are increasing with biological mutations in the genetics, in the genome. Each generation, something like 100 more mutations than the previous one. We're on a degenerative downward slope. Not only are we on a degenerative downward slope physically, we now also are morally on a degenerative downward slope. We kill those who rely on us, who we should be showing compassion to. Can you imagine if there was no Down syndrome children in the world? You'd never be able to appreciate your own life, the fact what you've got. And this is what they're doing. They're turning us into a eugenics society where it's just pure evil. Heidi Crowther, who has the condition, argued that the rules were discriminatory to people with Downs. She said the legislation doesn't respect my life. Correct. And brought a case against the government at the High Court in July 2021. The case was brought by Mrs. Crowther and Mary Lee Wilson, 33, from West London, whose son Aidan has Down syndrome. In a summary of the decision by Lord Justice Underhill, the Lady Justice Thirlwell and Lord Justice Peter Jackson, the judges said the court recognises that many people with Down syndrome and other disabilities will be upset and offended by the fact that a diagnosis is treated by the law as a justification for term. God, it is implying that their own lives are of lesser value. It's a fact. Their own lives have been devalued. You are now saying anybody with Down syndrome can be murdered right up to birth. And it's clear. Stop playing with words, judges. You know what you're doing. You will be held accountable. We read Psalm 139, verses 13 and onwards. For you formed my inward parts, you knitted me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works, my soul knows it very well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was being made in secret. Intricately woven in the depths of the earth, your eyes saw my unformed substance. In your book were written every one of them, the days that were formed for me, when as yet there was none of them. And we go back to Genesis 3, 1:27. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God he created him. Male and female he created them. Jesus Christ, who created all things. And because of Adam and Eve's disobedience to God's standards and laws, God became a man in Jesus Christ 2,000 years ago. He had an earthly ministry. He demonstrated who he is by the signs and the wonders and his talks and also his teachings to point to him, who he is, creator of all things. Became a man. He who created all things. When he had completed his earthly ministry, as time had come, Jesus Christ was arrested. He was tried in front of Pontius Pilate. Pontius Pilate said himself he finds no reason to find Jesus Christ guilty because he is innocent. He was innocent, the perfect Lamb of God who fulfilled the law of God. He fulfilled it perfectly. And Jesus Christ was then led away. He was whipped, he was beaten, and he was placed nailed to a piece of wood. And on that piece of wood, a spear was put into his side, and he hung there, and he died on that piece of wood. He was confirmed dead by the Roman soldier who reported to Pontius Pilate. Pontius Pilate said, take his body off that piece of wood. He was laid in a tomb, and for 3 days he was in the tomb. And on the 3rd day, the disciples went to the tomb, and he wasn't there. He had risen from the dead, and he made multiple appearances to multiple different people over a period of days, 40 days. And then he rose from the earth, ascended into heaven, and the angels that were watching him said, why are you staring at Jesus Christ? He rose, he's going to come again. Yes, Jesus Christ came the first time to deal with sin for his people, for those that will believe in him. If you believe in Jesus Christ, if you confess with your mouth that Jesus Christ is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. Saved from what? The wrath of God, because the wrath remains on all of those, because their guilt and their sin still is upon them. Jesus Christ went to that piece of wood to take God's wrath upon himself for all those that will believe in him, for his sheep, for those whom he died for. So if you hear Jesus Christ's words today, if you're here today, today is the day of salvation. Believe in Jesus Christ, into him, and you will be saved. For all have sinned. The reason God's wrath remains on us is because we've all sinned, just like Adam and Eve chose to disobey God. The whole human race is under the wrath of God, and Jesus Christ came to take the wrath upon himself for those that will believe in him. So you don't have to have the death penalty upon you. Jesus Christ took it upon himself. Believe in Jesus Christ and you will be saved. He's coming a second time, not to deal with sin, but for those who are eagerly waiting for him. Amen.